Coach Christian, and be near the monuments. Be right, damn near 2 blocks from the White House. During the election is a pretty cool experience within itself. I've really been enjoying it though. Enjoying
How,
it.
how was that? How was election week out there? Yeah, yeah, the
Um,
crowds and everything.
it was crazy. They had us on lockdown and just trying to stay safe. Stayed in the house, and after Biden won, they were storming the streets, and it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy.
So the NBA draft was yesterday. This is one of the coolest days. I love to talk to you after draft day because you've gotten to play against so many of these guys. You came up on high school circuits with these guys. And number 14, we're broadcasting last night, and the Celtics get Aaron Nesmith. And I'm like, I know just who I'm going to talk to. Matt Moyer, you played with him 2 years there in Vanderbilt. Uh, what do you got? What's this guy bringing to Boston?
Man, it's crazy. I mean, obviously, you guys know he can really shoot the ball. Man, spot eye shooter. He in practice, he wouldn't miss. It's crazy. But most of all, character. That dude is an incredible locker room guy, a leader. One of the hardest workers I've ever seen. And just a great chemistry guy. I think he fits the Celtics mold perfectly. Just thinking through all the different NBA teams. I really couldn't think of a better fit. Just an high intelligent guy. That can just shoot the basketball. I think he's going to be great playing with guys like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, who can really get in the paint. And, Aaron will be ready to catch and shoot and knock down anything. He can shoot the basketball.
That number is crazy. 52% from three. Like on 100 looks in games.
No,
Like that. That's unreal.
and also, people forget it. Also volume. He was shooting a lot of them too.
Yeah.
I forget how many attempts a game, but he was shooting and making a lot of threes. It's not like he was shooting 2 threes a game or 3 threes a game, and he was shooting 52%. He can really shoot the ball.
So the offense you guys were running there last year got him 23 points a game, a ton of looks, like you said, and he had a big jump. 2 years ago, he was probably 32% from three, if I remember correctly. Had a decent year, but then has that huge leap under Stackhouse last year. What kind of things were you guys doing offensively that got him going at that level?
Well, Stackhouse does a great job, with his offense. He has a lot of different plays, a lot of different sets that we ran last year. And then also, what's really attractive to the NBA that, they probably saw was, Stack runs an NBA offense. So, all the same types of looks, all the same types of reads that, he'd be getting, certain plays, are the same type of plays that, he'll be getting at the next level. So, I just think the offense fit him, and, obviously, like I said, he can just shoot the daggone basketball. I don't, it doesn't matter what you run for him. He's going to come off screens and he's going to make shots at a high level.
What should people know about him personally? Yeah, you said he's a great personality. His brother goes to Harvard, I know. What do people got to know about him as a person coming into Boston here?
Definitely that, he's just, man, he's humble. A humble, great person. If you saw him in the street, he would definitely strike a conversation with you. It's crazy. I was just talking to some of my buddies at Vanderbilt about it, how just crazy it is. He got drafted, 14th pick in the draft going to Boston. And it's just crazy, just the aura about him. When you're around him, you would never, think he's, this lottery pick. He's always striking a conversation, always, asking how you're doing. He's just an incredible human being. And I think that's something that Boston, the fan base is just going to eat it up. And the program as well. The organization is going to love him.
And isn't this something? So this year, you had no Kansas, Duke, Kentucky, and whatever other big school was in there. None of those were in the lottery. Last 2 years, the only school that had lottery picks in each year was Vanderbilt. Unreal.
Yeah, just that's just crazy within itself. I saw that stat and I was blown away. I'm also really good buddies with Darius as well, and got a chance to talk to him, and he's excited about Okoro coming in, and but it's crazy. It's crazy to that these past 2 years I got a chance to play with 2 lottery picks and become damn near best friends with these 2 guys, and really bond with them, and it's unreal. Unreal. That's just unheard of. unheard of. It's a blessing.
Yeah, I'm thrilled about Nesmith. There were a couple guys I liked there. R.J. Hampton, I was excited about being there.
Mhm.
The Precious Achua, I thought would have been awesome with Boston. But this really is a guy that the Celtics haven't had in forever. A guy who can just knock down shots from any range. I think that range thing with him is very encouraging, like the depth he was hitting threes from. Like I saw one way in the corner, one like way on the wing. Like this guy had NBA range and then some. How good do you think he could be at this level? Like he definitely fits in right away, but like what's like the ceiling for this guy?
Oh man, I mean the sky's the limit. I mean you can compare him to he's already gotten some comparisons, like Chris Middleton and a few guys like that. But he can shoot the ball. His handle's getting better every day. His playmaking's great. His body. I think that's one thing. A lot of people have noticed his frame. He's a big dude. Strong, really strong, and can guard multiple positions. And I just think also, like I said, being with Boston, they're just going to develop him. I mean, every single year, I feel like he's going to take a jump because of his work ethic too. I mean, his work ethic's already on another planet. So you take that with the resources that the Boston Celtics have. I mean, I just think that's just going to be the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
This,
What's your favorite memory in practice? Watching him in games. What was your favorite memory in the 2 years that you were with him there?
oh man, I mean, the memories just I there's probably not even a specific memory. Just as far as a player, just watching him every day and just his shot making ability. Every single day, we're doing 5-on-0 or we're doing a shooting drill. He just doesn't miss.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Did you,
miss.
did you have to guard him at all in practice?
Oh yeah, I guard him. I lock that up. No, I'm kidding. He's a special talent and a special person. And honestly, I'm more grateful for the time I got to spend with him off the court because
Yeah.
just knowing him as a human being and knowing how humble he is and how many blessings that are coming his way. I mean, he's just perfect personality, perfect person. Very highly intelligent. Was an excellent student at Vanderbilt. So just I'm just happy for him. Sky's the limit.
Nashville looks fun for you, Matt. You guys definitely enjoyed yourself there. The Predators games, the city, like that's one of those things you probably got to look back on. You're like, I got to experience that before COVID, before everything got shut down. You had those 2 years there. Like I was just thrilled for you, seeing how much fun you had there.
Yeah, Nashville is people don't. It's funny, before I went, committed to Vanderbilt and took my visit and whatnot. I just had this picture in my mind like Nashville's like just this southern, like I don't know, like not really metropolis type city. And you get down there, it's incredible. Skyscrapers. You have Broadway. And just the city, the energy in the city. It's a special energy. I think Preds games is incredible. The Titans games is incredible. Um, Nashville's a special city and it's continuously growing. And as you can see, it's one of the, sought after destinations for, bachelor parties and, this and that. And, people are starting to want to go there more. And, pre-COVID, I mean, it was, it was definitely a cool place to be able to live and, soak up that culture in general.
I was trying to get down there, but it's 11 hours from me. A couple weeks ago, before things really got bad, I was like, should we go down there? And the 11 hours was too much for me. I used to do 5 hours between Hughes and Boston, and then
Right.
I've done the 9 hours to DC, 8 or 9 hours, but 11 was too much for me. You've had an interesting college journey. You've gotten to be in Syracuse, you've gotten to be in Vanderbilt, George Washington. I guess part of you probably thinks it's tough that you've had to jump between these different teams, but it's also probably been a pretty good college experience to see, three cities like that, be around three teams. Like, do you kind of look at that as more of a positive or, a challenge that you've had to gone through?
I think it's a little bit of both. I obviously, it's a challenge because of the coaching. I've had a lot of different, 4 different coaches in 4 years of playing. That's a challenge within itself. But as far as from an experience standpoint, I mean, just love to, all the people I've met. That's probably the best part about this whole journey. I've met different people. I've been able to experience different cities, different things. Just I think it just molds me. I think it shapes me and makes me the person I am today. And I wouldn't trade my journey for anything. I embrace every part of it, and I'm extremely excited for this part of my journey. I think this is the most optimistic part of my journey yet. I just think this is the year that I can put it all together and do it with a really good team that we have here at GW, and do it with Coach Christian, who just, believes in me. And I think just as a coach, his future is just incredible. I think his ceiling as a coach is the highest it can be. And I'm just, ecstatic to learn from him every day, and just be with this team and be with this programs.
So where are you at as a person, as a player? Whichever direction you want to take that. I probably met you 2-3 years ago now, probably pushing 3 years ago now at Syracuse.
Yeah.
How's your life changed? Your game changed? Whatever direction you want to take that in the last couple of years.
Man, I just think I've just molded more as a human being, molded more as a person. And like I said, that just speaks to my experiences. I just think my maturity and, really grasping myself and finding myself has been, the biggest thing for me in the past, 3-4 years. Even with my game, I think I've, throughout these times I've had, throughout these changes I've had, consistently worked hard and consistently tried to add things to my game every year. And, now I think, like I said, now this is the perfect opportunity to get the opportunity, I've dreamed of, because I think I've, shaped and molded myself as a person, and shaped and molded my game, to really take advantage of this opportunity I have this year with this team. So, I definitely think my versatility, I think, at Syracuse, I was, more of a short corner, dunker or whatever, really didn't, do much besides that, rebound and just play hard. But I think, this year I'm going to be able to show that I've added a lot of different things to my game, as far as, handling the ball, shooting the ball, and doing a whole lot of other different things, passing the ball as well.
I was tough. I did an episode last week on college basketball, and it's hectic right now. Like, some teams don't have full schedules yet. There's this whole COVID thing going on, reaching a new level here. Things are just kind of all over the place, and I'm sure it's been hectic for you guys too. Last couple of weeks, Syracuse got shut down this week. Quite a few teams in the Northeast are on lockdown now, and it's less than 1 week until the season starts. So, what day are you guys opening?
We're actually opening college basketball the 25th.
25th.
We'll be on CBS, and we're the first game back from COVID. So, opening up the college basketball season. Prayerfully, knock on wood, we don't have any COVID incidents, or, nor Navy, and looking forward to kick off the season. But just crazy, like you said, though. I mean, with all these programs that are already shut down, what is it, like 20, up to maybe 20 programs?
Yeah, up over 20 now. Yeah.
I'm just really interested to see how this whole season's going to pan out.
What's it been for you guys? Precautions, stuff you're trying to do to keep
Mhm.
this safe.
Yeah, I mean, we live together in a really nice apartment, place here, called District House, and we just don't have any visitors. We don't leave campus. We're just making sure we just try to check all the boxes. So, when the season comes, we're going to be able to compete, and we're going to have all of us, there to compete.
What's quarantine like for you? How do you pass the time? There was that strict lockdown period where you couldn't get out and work out. You couldn't do much of anything. Now you're practicing. Now you got basketball. But when you're alone, when you're by yourself, when you're in that quarantine, for lack of a better term, how do you try to pass the time?
Well, I'm, grateful to be working on my master's right now. Really been, dug myself into that, and really tried to, research things, and, really take this as serious as possible. I mean, that's been really good for me. Just digging into my master's and trying to really focus on that. Podcasts, I've been, listening to a lot of podcasts, and my roommate actually, he's a big podcast guy and really got me into it. So, been doing that a lot, and then also just trying to just educate myself in any way possible. Reading a lot of books. Like I said, really just focusing on my master's.
What are you studying?
I'm getting my master's in management with a concentration in project management. So, just learning how to manage people better, and use programs like Excel, and just trying to just read in on that, and just trying to just shape, mold myself in the best I can in that field.
Awesome, man. So let's get into some of these other prospects. SEC had quite a few guys go in the draft. Anthony Edwards went number 1 from Georgia there. It was interesting. You had a couple of different guys who were in conversation there at number 1. This was probably the first draft since, Anthony Bennett in 2013 that you didn't have like a clear number one guy like a Zion. So Anthony Edwards goes. It seemed like it was going to be LaMelo Ball for a couple weeks there, and then it shifted at the last minute. What do you think of Edwards? What did you see in him when you guys went up against Georgia? And what do you think he's potentially going to bring to Minnesota?
Oh man, I mean, when we played Georgia, actually I was hurt. I had tore my labrum a few games prior when we played Florida, so I was on the sideline and got to really, get a chance to really look at him as a player and really evaluate him. To post a plan, games going fast, and you
Yeah.
might not be able to evaluate him as much, but just being up close and personal. I mean, he's a special talent. He's a crazy athlete. Shoots the ball. I was really shocked at how shifty he was. He's really shifty with the ball, moves really good with the ball. I think the sky's the limit for him, and I think the fit is also really good for him as well. So I was highly impressed with him. Highly impressed.
So I haven't watched a ton of him, but I find it interesting his build. So I hate doing comparisons. It's what we always do this time of
Of
year.
course.
This guy's this guy, this guy's that. You can't really compare one person to one person, but I find it interesting that he plays the game a little bit like Zion. Like he's got like a football build as opposed to a basketball build. He overpowers guys. He just has that force of will on the court that I think translates well. Like we saw how well Zion played last year in the NBA right away.
Right.
There wasn't any adjustment whatsoever, which people thought there might have been. I
Mhm.
don't want to compare the two necessarily, but it feels like that's like a growing style of play in basketball. Like these bigger guys who are just able to dominate physically and add some skill to that huge frame and huge physicality as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that combination of skill and physical prowess that Anthony Edwards has is going to really benefit him at the next level. I think that's something that's going to make him all but more ready to play right away and contribute and dominate the game right away. And like I said, he moves like a guard. He has
Hmm.
the physical build, obviously, but I mean, man, like he'll get in the lane and shift you and gets downhill crazy. I mean, he's a special talent, and I think he's going to put the NBA on notice next year.
There were so many SEC guys in the lottery this year. It was unreal. I love Isaac Okoro. I talked to him last week. We all saw that cool moment getting his dad the Range Rover there. He's got a cool circle there in Atlanta with Sharif Cooper and some of those other guys that are going through Auburn now from Atlanta. He's amazing. Like talking to him, great personality, knows the game well. I find it interesting now how these prospects study the greats. Like he's been studying the guys he's been compared to, like Andre Iguodala and Jimmy Butler and those types. And he has the same build as those guys, like 6'6", 225 right away. Another guy who's physically ready for the league. He's going to Cleveland with Garland there. As you said, they're building a ton of young talent there. And this is such a weird draft. It feels like anybody could end up being the best player in this draft, 1 to 60. But I think he has as much of a chance as anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to see how that's going to work out in Cleveland next year. I think he's a perfect fit for what Cleveland does. They got Sexton, Darius. I just think that fast pace, up and down, offense that they can have and defense. Bringing in defensive intensity with Okoro being able to play multiple positions, defend and play multiple positions.
Yep. Andre Drummond getting a full year there.
Man, like Drummond, he's another one where he can just rim run, and I think that fast paced offense and defense is going to really surprise a lot of people with Cleveland. I think Cleveland can win a lot of games next this coming NBA season, and I'm really excited to see how that pans out because I
They,
mean, man, Okoro, oh my gosh, I mean, we played at Auburn the first SEC game, and I was highly impressed with him. His motor and athletic and physical prowess is next level.
So I'm going to ask you about one other guy before we go here, but what do you think about this draft being, it's not the first draft where we've had guys who didn't go to college, but this one in particular, the first three guys are, Edwards had a full college season, but, Wiseman plays 6 games and then he's out at Memphis. Ball goes to Australia. RJ Hampton, who I mentioned, went to New Zealand. You had quite a number of guys in this draft who didn't take the typical route. And then, this has been about a decade now that we've had international guys coming into the league and making a big impact like Killian Hayes. Uh, where's this going, you think? Like, are elite guys just not going to go to college basketball anymore and try to find other ways to do this? Like, are guys going to start going from high school directly to the league if they allow that? Where's college basketball going when it comes to those elite prospects, you think?
That's a good question. I don't think it ruins, I don't think it hurts college basketball. I just think this is one of those weird years. And obviously I'm biased. I love college basketball. I think it's an experience that at least, I think every player should experience,
Yeah.
and go through. This definitely was a weird draft. And, I think it is, it's also going in the other direction. You're also going to see a lot more, high school kids and, guys like, Kenyon Martin Jr., IMG, he goes to IMG for a year, he gets drafted.
Yeah.
Like you said, LaMelo Ball, et cetera. But yeah, I think colleges should still be valued, and I think the value doesn't drop. I think it's highly important. Obviously, you're gonna have your few guys who, 2-3 guys every year who maybe can duck that route and maybe has the talent and skill to go straight out of high school. But I think it's, as far as your development as a person and a player, I think going to college is extremely important.
Yeah, I'd love to see the NCAA do some things to keep those elite guys there because,
Yeah.
who's it help to not have Wiseman in college basketball for the year? Now, I know you got rules and everything like that you have to uphold, but, how can you adjust those rules to keep someone like Wiseman in the game, keep a lot of intrigue around the sport? Because, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you had an Aiton who every night you had to watch. Zion, every single night people had to tune in to watch Zion. Would have been great for the sport last year to have James Wiseman out there every night.
Yeah, I agree. I just think, yeah, I'm not, pointing fingers, but I would have loved to see, Wiseman play that whole season. And like you said, I think it would have been great for the sport. It would have been great for college basketball, for the country to be able to see that, special talent. Like you said with Zion, when Zion was at Duke, it was must see TV every 2 days, every 2-3 days, whenever, Duke was playing. And, being able to keep those elite guys in college, I think that's, so important.
So one more guy we're going to talk about before we get you out of here, Elijah Hughes is going to the Utah Jazz. This guy is quite a story. I got to cover him last year during his huge season at Syracuse, leading the ACC in scoring the way he did, improbable, coming from East Carolina, not having those elite offers out of high school. This guy's an incredible story, and now he's going 39th in the draft. It's been a couple of years since the Syracuse guy got picked in the draft, and this guy's ready to go. Like, his dedication is there. His work ethic is through the roof. The amount of weight he has lost over the last couple of years has been amazing to see. And, I got to go to Beacon, New York and meet some of the people he grew up with. And that city just kind of revolves around him. It's pretty cool the way that he's just risen. You got to have that one year there at Syracuse where he was sitting out redshirting, comes in the next year and he's kind of a role guy there in Syracuse, catch and shoot player, playing off Battle, Brissett, those other guys on a pretty loaded team. And then the next year he just comes into that lead ball handler spot. His playmaking, leading the team in scoring, seamless. Like, the different roles he had to go through, he just fit them all perfectly. And I've never seen a guy at his size, probably 6'6", blocking shots the way he does. Like, defensively, this guy's an impact player too. And I'm so glad he's going to Utah, which is a legit team, great coach, and going to be able to develop him and fit him in right away to winning. You got anything more to add on Hughes than that?
Oh man, well, Elijah, I think also what people forget is I played with Elijah in high school.
That's right.
Yes, I played with Elijah my senior year at South Kent, and got a chance to really see him up close and personal and play with him. And we always saw it. It's like, man, like, this dude is special. Like, there's no no offense to ECU, but I was like, man, this dude is a pro. His playmaking ability is just off the chain. His athleticism, his ability to shoot. I'll never forget, we played Brewster and he hit like 8 threes on Brewster. And, I just remember going home, or going back to South Kent and like calling my parents, like, man, this dude is real. Like, this Elijah Hughes dude, like, man, he is the real deal. And then, like you said, seeing him play at, or seeing him for, during his redshirt season, was also incredible. That whole entire year, he got so much better. and just grew his game, and worked with Coach GMAC countlessly, and spent a lot of hours with him, and just continued to expand his game. And then what you guys are seeing, his past 2 seasons at Syracuse, I saw it, for years. He's a special talent.
He's funny too. That guy
Yeah,
is really fun. And you're a funny dude yourself. I always thought Tyus Battle was pretty funny too. Like that group you guys had in 2018 was just a funny group of guys. Marek, Pascal, Frank. Like it was just a funny. I'll never forget that Selection Sunday. You on the IG Live there, everybody just going crazy. Like you guys are just a bunch of funny personalities.
yeah. That 2018 team was special. Definitely a fun ride. Yeah, a lot of funny personalities too. Yeah, no doubt.
All right, Matt Moyer, George Washington University this year. Check them out next week as they're getting started on national TV. Last question before you go. Who in this draft, out of all the guys here, there's been quite a number we've talked about today, who that we haven't mentioned do you think could be that guy who sneaks through, is kind of seen as the steal of the draft? You always have one of those guys at 14, in the 20s, maybe even the second round, like a Jimmy Butler. Who do you think could sneak through here and be the guy that everybody says, wow, like he should have gone so much higher?
I'm gonna go with a guy who was undrafted. I'm a little
Oh,
biased.
all right.
I played in high school with him. I'm gonna go with Miles Powell. I mean, I think he's dynamic, dynamic scorer. He signed with the New York Knicks. He's a guy that I think can score the ball, and also is a really good playmaker. And I just think, you know, him getting an opportunity with the Knicks, I think he's going to blow up. I think he's going to be like an Alonzo Trier type deal.
He was special. Like
Yeah,
he was one of the best players in Seton Hall history. They had those Fox specials where he would be on TV playing those great teams in the Big East there, and he was always balling. That's a good name. I didn't even notice him because he went undrafted last night. He was so fun to watch in college. I think of Peyton Pritchard too, going to Boston. He was
yeah,
another guy who was on national TV a ton, just hitting big shots. And you never know if those great college players are going to translate, but I mean, they definitely had two of the better careers you'll see out there, scoring guards.
yeah, no doubt. I mean, that has to be my pick, Miles Powell.
For sure. This was a deep draft, ton of guys in here. Always good to break them down with you, Matt. Best of luck to you this year. It's always a blast talking to you, and I enjoy watching you and following your journey as well.
Thanks, boss. I always love talking to you as well. I mean, this is what I've known you for 3 years, and always